Half of the fraud, we believe, in the federal government could be coming out of healthcare services. We're a large rhino that can be stabbed effortlessly by foreign governments, like syndicated criminal entities, and smaller time operators who can take advantage of the system with, as Andrew pointed out, as little as a Medicare beneficiary number, which is basically a credit card, to defraud this system. Unfortunately, that results in about $100 billion of estimated theft just from Medicare and Medicaid. That, just to put it in the context of affordability, which is a very important subtext of this discussion, we would be able to double the life expectancy of the Medicare Trust Fund. In California, the growth of spending in personal care services, in-home services, is twice the rate of the average of the rest of the country. Let me say that again. The rest of the country is at one number. California is twice that number in its growth rate. We estimate there's $500 million that could be at risk, taken from federal taxpayers.
The state of California has not taken fraud very seriously.
Okay, welcome back. That was CMS Chief Dr. Oz, and then Vice President J.D. Vance. They're basically talking about half of the fraud in the federal government is coming out of federal health care programs, and that the growth of Medicaid spending is twice the rate of the rest of the country. Dr. Oz said that. Let's welcome back to the show from House Ways and Means, Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, it's always great to see you. So they're going to withhold $1.3 billion of federal Medicaid money from California. All 50 states have got to get on the stick. Nothing bothers voters more than wasting taxpayer money on fraud.
Yeah, every state that is involved in this type of fraud should absolutely have all their money frozen. We just recently had a hearing in the Ways Committee where I asked a question of somebody who represented hospices in California and said that some of the hospices had addresses at burrito stands and at tire stores, and that there was piles of letters from CMS. Well, in order for that to happen, somebody at the state of California had to approve that burrito stand and that tire store as being a hospice. That is the depth and level of fraud in some of these states, and we absolutely have to get a handle on it. That's what's driving up the costs in the federal government. That's why we're $39 trillion in debt, because Democratic states are allowing this fraud to happen in their states.
What you just said is really disturbing. So burrito stands and car tire stores are dealt as, treated as hospice centers getting money out of California. That's shocking. Let's listen to Vice President Vance and what he said about Democrat blue states not investigating and prosecuting fraud. Watch this.
The Hawaii Medicaid program has received billions and billions of dollars from the federal taxpayers. Guess how many convictions or indictments has Hawaii had over the last few years in its Medicaid fraud program? The answer is zero. Not a single indictment, not a single conviction. That means that if you're committing fraud in Medicaid in Hawaii, you have had effectively free reign from the government of Hawaii to commit as much fraud as you want. That is a complete disgrace. New York has had 9 indictments over the last year. 9 indictments. That's a $100 billion Medicaid program just in New York. Indiana, which has about a third of the population of the state of New York, has had more than 4 times as many indictments over the same period.
So you see what the Vice President is saying, Congressman, that basically blue states are not interested in discovering fraud, but red Republican states are. What's going on here?
Yeah, they're absolutely not. They're perpetuating the fraud in these Democratic states because they want to drive up the number of the amount of money that comes to those states on these federal programs. I certainly hope that with the president and the vice president focused on this, that the DOJ is going to look at this. And a way that we can keep this from happening is keep federal dollars from going to these states until they go after this fraud, waste, and abuse that's happening.
Do you see those states responding to that withholding of that money, that they don't like that?
Well, they absolutely will respond when they're not getting the federal dollars to pay for all these programs.
Got it. Congressman Greg Steube from Ways and Means. A pleasure always to have you on.